Hello, welcome to the show, supported by Mediaproxy. Now, today we're catching up with a good friend of KitPlus TV following a press conference where there was a lot of announcements. We'd like to welcome Bryce Button from AJA back to the studio. Hi, Bryce. How are you doing?
Great to see you, gents. Doing very well.
You too. So yesterday was a big day, I think, for AJA. You made a lot of exciting announcements. Do what you do best, Bryce. Tell us all about them.
Yeah, so the big announcement was the fact that we have taken an equity stake in a company called Diskover. And what we brought to the market and announced, and it's available immediately, is a software package called AJA Diskover Media Edition. And what this is about managing media. You know, we took a look at the landscape. We're involved, obviously, in creating a lot of tools that help produce media and looking at what the real world repercussions are. And so, you know, when you start to look at that, there's some startling statistics. The main one being that we're about to produce as much media content in the next 3 years as we have in the last 3 decades. And that's a staggering, realization. And we also have the fact that media today, we produce it, but where does it land up? It can land up on a standard drive, a USB drive. It can land up on a RAID. It can land up on a SAN. It can land up on sophisticated storage like StoreNext. And it can land up in the cloud. And I think we've all gone through this period as well where we realized a lot of us are working remotely, right? We're working together as teams, literally across the planet. And if you're a producer or you're an executive trying to understand what are things actually costing you, it's a bit of a mystery, right? It's going to vary per gigabyte, per device type. And if you're a creative and you're in the process, let's say you're an editor and you're getting files from X, Y, and Z, all the way from the shoot to video effects files that start to come in, where is this stuff? How do I find it? So the typical process that you have is that there'll be an index on a drive, right? You can look at it directly on a single drive and kind of go, well, I know that what's there. But what we're talking about, as I just laid out, is that this media is actually spread out everywhere. So the whole point of the Diskover Media Edition is to actually create what we call a master index. And that brings in the indexes from all these different sources, allows you to look at them in one place, actually provides you metadata for the media as well, right? Because we've all been a little sloppy working late on a Friday night and calling a clip happy clip number one. But, when you get into the video effects phase and you're sitting there going, okay, but what's the resolution? What's the frame rate? Am I even looking at the right version of the shot? So you can get all that information, and you again can also see the cost per gigabyte because you can set it up that way. So it's capable of very smart searching. It'll work across all the platforms. And the great thing is you're not actually asking your team members to download a software package. You're simply dialing in through a web browser, and you're looking at that master index from virtually anywhere. And so this serves all the different teams, the teams that are ingesting tons of material that have come in from set, for instance. The creative, as I said to you a second ago, needing to figure out where should I be putting my material once I render it out? Where's it coming from? You're the executive sitting there going, well, this is a 3 to 6 months, maybe a year-long project. How much is it actually going to cost me to store this? And then if you're the guy running the facility, once you get into these really big, powerful storage systems like StoreNext, etc., you're burning a lot of electricity as well as HVAC power, right? And how much does that cost? And someone's got to be paying for that along the way. And then you've got the order entry team that are sitting there going, we're trying to marshal the traffic, and we don't even really know where it is, how old it is it safe to get rid of it? Can we archive it? So it simplifies the entire system and makes it much quicker and easier for you to understand. Do I need to take this project that we had agreed to 6 months ago? Is it now safe to actually tag it, for instance, and say, archive this to LTO? Or is it really a bunch of junk files that we utilize in between and they can go? You may not even need to buy new storage. You may just need to reallocate how it's being utilized. So working with Diskover, they're an incredible team that have gone into this media management market and worked with it for a number of years. Chris Park, who's the CTO, has worked for very big facilities in LA and Vancouver and so on, and really had to tackle this as a problem. So we're very excited to bring this to market, and I think it's going to be one of those solutions that people didn't quite realize they needed to be thinking about. But now, as this period accelerates with this amount of content management, they're going to want to do it, or they're going to be losing time just trying to find stuff, wasting human resources, trying to track it down and manage it, and it just will become impractical. So very excited, and I think that's really huge news.
Data costs money, data does cost money, and we're going to be, we are going to be creating a lot more, and we've naturally got more complacent with deleting. We just don't. We keep everything. Now, obviously, hopefully, we can get into the habit of getting rid of what we don't need, but I think because of all of this data, asset management tools, media asset management tools, have in fairness, been around for a while. Is this AJA's sort of leap into challenging that? Are you doing it in a different way? Is this Diskover going to be a new way of looking at it? Is what I'm getting at.
Absolutely, because these assets are spread out everywhere, because they're on all sorts of different forms, and you can do things like temporarily plug in a drive that you intend to stick in the cabinet, right? And you can index it, and that will join this master index. So you'll be able to know the material that is there, what it's called, all those kind of factors. It's huge, but I think, one of the big things that is a huge difference is this can scale, basically infinitely. You can handle billions of files. You can go through petabytes of data. It is designed to go as wide as you need to, because it's got an open source base going on with some software called Elasticsearch that's designed specifically to scale to virtually infinity. The second thing is, a normal process is, at the moment that we've seen in the market, is you got people literally sending around screen grabs and spreadsheets from their particular index to other people on the team. It's not integrated. And it can take up to 3 days when you're dealing with petabytes of information to get an actual current view of where things are at. So you could be looking and seeing information that is actually incorrect because somewhere in the last 3 days, someone went and killed a whole bunch of stuff and somebody else digitized a bunch of stuff. So what's great about the Diskover Media Edition is it actually does this in parallel. So it is going through and it is building and refreshing these indexes all in parallel. It's normally been a serial operation with most of the software out there.
Yeah.
And that's not really that great a solution for what needs to be done. And even when you're then looking at your master index, you can see the different indexes from different devices. And if you're concerned, you can manually force an immediate rescan. And the great news here is if you're the owner of this content, I mean, if this is a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible film going down, I don't want people physically actually touching that media. And that's the great thing about the system is you're not physically touching the media. You're looking at the index of it. So there's no way to introduce corruption. There's no way for someone who was accidentally authorized shouldn't be looking at a particular project because you can set all the permissions, of course. They wouldn't be able to grab it or take it or do anything with it. So it's looking at the maps, and they're the most accurate maps you can have. Because again, we've pulled metadata from those files when they were indexed. So even if the naming is a little off, as I said before, you're going to be able to clearly identify through media info the truth of it, because the file itself has told the system its content, right? So it's also a great way of getting rid of inevitable human error. And it's no way humans aren't going to make mistakes when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of files. So it's as automating as much as you can. And then the whole point is to provide you, the user, in whatever role you have within an organization, system administrator, creative, executive, and give them reports. So you can get a cost analysis report per project, per client, however you want to do that. And it's going to make it a heck of a lot easier. And for the operations guy, when he comes in the morning and he's got assigned storage, he knows exactly where he's at. And he can choose, or she can choose, what to tell the creators. Okay, today you're going to be putting your stuff on SAN X. And that way there is some much finer control of what's going on, and you're informed. And it really helps the entire team in terms of human time and efficiency, right? So it's, to me, it's really exciting stuff to be getting into.
So that was probably enough to fill a press conference normally, but I can't believe with AJA there wasn't some other bits and pieces you were announcing.
Yeah, so there's some, the news has just gone out that we've been working with Autodesk, and their latest version of Flame software is going to support our TTAP Pro, which was our little Thunderbolt 3 monitoring device that we introduced earlier in the year, on the show. So that's very exciting because they've decided that the power of being able to do RGB and 12-bit really suits their high-end video effects packages. So Flame and Flare are going to be supporting it. So that's pretty exciting. And then on a level that I think almost anyone can understand, Teams, we've been working with Microsoft, and it's now Teams is going to support what's called broadcast video out. So if you're doing a little conference and you've got 3-4 people, and you want to take one of those people and throw them into your SDI routing system because you really want to lock it down, you don't want to watch the jerky streaming footage that may be part of your news recently, we'll lock it to the frame rate, we'll lock it to the raster size, and you can literally take one of those participants and say they go through the AJA card and out into the rest of the system. So that's really pretty exciting stuff.
Great. And does this apply to the IO 4Ks as well and more boxes?
Correct. Yeah, so it'll work with TTAP Pro, it'll work with Kona 5 on the high end, and of course IO 4K Plus, which is very popular for a lot of folks working with Thunderbolt 3.
I think this is one of the reasons why people are really missing trade shows, because it's so much easier, isn't it, to actually get on your booth and actually see this working in real life and see the conversion, see what you can really do with it.
Yeah, that is still one of the downsides. I mean, during our press conference yesterday, we did share that we will be at InfoComm and we will have some interesting announcements there. And we did tease that it is around NDI. So we hope we'll see at least some folks in person in Orlando in the next few weeks. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. It's going to be my first physical trade show in 2 years for sure. Yeah. So, tentatively getting out of there, as they say.
You've got to be careful not to have too much of that red wine on the first night, celebrating with all the old mates, So thank you very much, Bryce, for coming in again. Great to see you as always. And check out all of the AJA solutions and AJA news on the website, I'm sure. And thanks, of course, to Mediaproxy for their support of KitPlus TV. Thanks for watching. See you next time.